morning. It's Monday, which means it's time for our Enterprise at 8. That's right, 8, not 9, 8. Do you know why we're at 9 or not at 9, Dave?
Because it's not D Space Nine.
That's right.
Right, but we did the last 2 D Space Nine podcasts at 8. So
how dare you? That's our time slot. Anyway, this is Live Long and Podcast Star Trek Enterprise rewatch series. It's been I'm going to go with probably around 20 years.
20 years?
Yes, Trip, that's right. 20 years. You know what? It's amazing how he constantly talks to us, but yet he's never here.
I miss the days where Dave was never prepared for that.
I know. Now he's like spot on.
Now I know.
I'm going to have to write it out of the script and then just randomly throw it in somewhere just so he has to do it.
Listen, I know you've told me this is Trip who says that. It doesn't sound, it sounds like Archer to me.
It's just him. Well, he's talking to Archer when he says it, but
yeah, he is talking to Archer.
Yeah, he's just about the whole NX program is going to be scrapped for 20 years. He goes
20 years.
20 years. Anyway,
yeah, that's true.
All right. We're sidelined by a sound clip. Anyway, this is, as I said, this is The Forgotten is the episode we're currently looking at, and it's been about 20 years since this first aired.
20 years?
See, now you're off. That one's for you, Adam.
3 times.
That one's for you, Adam. All right. Anyway, I'm Jody Simpson, along with my co-host and the man who, if we're lucky, might one day demonstrate his ability to time travel, Adam Woodward.
If I'm lucky.
I'm lucky.
Yeah.
I want to see you do it.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens. Anyway, joining Adam and I is Live Long and Podcast awesome producer and the man who has happily kicked his Trellium addiction, Dave Mater.
Are you saying I'm going to have these emotions forever? I'm just going to have to deal with these emotions, Jody?
Indeed.
Yeah.
I don't know what's more frightening. All right, anyway. And of course, who could forget the man who has an impressive facility for deception, Kevin Millard.
That's not me.
No
way.
It's all I had left, Kevin. You got it. Get over it.
You got to sign it.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, tonight's episode, as I said, is The Forgotten. This is the 71st episode of the series. This episode is about 2 members of the Xindi Council offer to stop the launch of a weapon if Archer can prove that the Xindi have been manipulated. The crew holds a memorial for their dead shipmates.
Yeah. Good episode. I'm going to come out first.
All right.
Really strong Enterprise episode. Maybe one of my favorites of the series so far.
Really?
I was surprised, more so than last episode, and I liked last episode. And I thought, I don't know, I'm trying to figure out what the reasons were. I think that the storyline with Trip felt real. I thought that some of the conflict between Flux and Trip was good, and to Paul getting involved, and then Trip telling off the Xindi guys, like Degra and whoever, and then them teaming up to defeat the Xindi reptilians near the end. I thought was an interesting twist, because he's like, I can't kill my own people. Actually, I can.
Not that hard.
Yeah, he got over it quick.
He's like, I can kill up to 7 million of them before I look kind of bad.
Yeah. I think these are peanut numbers compared to what big genocidal numbers that I used to. If you're Degra, so I don't know, really good. I thought it was really well done. I thought that Malcolm tried to kill himself again, and he succeeded. And
the problem is he fails at everything.
Yeah.
He did open the hatch. He got the hatch.
Yeah, you think you might want to take an engineer with you on that spacewalk, not a tactical guy who
runs the armory.
With all due respect, it has one, like it's a hatch. He only had to open it.
And he couldn't even do that.
And look what happened.
Yeah.
Engineers are more valuable than him doing that job.
Right. He was expendable, so they brought him along.
Yeah.
They're in a war, though. You think you need your armory officer. Why do you take Seth MacFarlane, who's also in this episode? He's apparently not a very good engineer, or not.
I think Davin must love this episode because Seth MacFarlane gets yelled at.
Yeah,
Well,
I thought the same thing.
Seth MacFarlane was on the show. I think he had a role.
No, he was there. He was
There,
absolutely.
he only has a couple
Yeah.
lines. I pulled the clip here where he's
Yeah,
just like,
because he's getting
There's a microfracture in the magnesium jacket. That's why it ruptured.
I ran a pressure test.
Tell it to the man lying in sick bay. Test them again, all of them.
Aye, sir.
See, I just picture like Trip yelling at a dog. Like,
that's
what
kind of
I'm
what it was
picturing.
like. It was like him yelling at his old dog, you dumb Seth MacFarlane dog. But
That's
Seth
in Brian.
Brian.
It's in Brian.
Brian's his name,
Well,
yeah.
of course, but like when I see this in this episode, I was like, oh, Seth MacFarlane goes on to be Captain Ed Mercer on the USS Orville. Have you ever seen that show, The Orville? It's excellent. It's
It
more
is.
Star Trek than some Star Trek shows.
No,
And
totally.
It's more Star Trek than Discovery.
Yeah. Yeah, or than some of these seasons of Picard. So it's really good. I like, I'm not a huge Family Guy fan or even American Dad or a lot of his stuff. Like, it's okay, but he's a fellow Star Trek fan, and I respect that. And he went as far to create his own Star Trek show, The Orville. Even though he tried to pitch them his own Star Trek series and they turned him down, so he just went off and made that instead.
Yeah, I don't know if you want Seth MacFarlane to touch your brand, though.
Well,
it seems like a
Paramount
bad idea.
agreed with you, and they didn't let him. So they
Yeah.
instead he went to Fox, and he made the.
But
made the
in a
Orville.
way, I'm kind of glad they did that because the Orville is its own thing, and I like
It's
it.
different. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
its own thing,
different.
and
It's like normal people working on a starship.
yeah.
Yeah, it's less fancy, I guess, is a good way to look at it.
I could not see the Seth MacFarlane says
He was
Sam.
the engineer that was getting yelled at by Trip in the episode.
In the hallway.
Yeah,
in the
he's asking
hallway.
us if we heard about the wildfires in Nova Scotia.
I have, unfortunately.
Yes, we
Yes,
did.
we
I
have.
have.
Yeah.
We have
Hopefully
family and
everybody
friends
stays safe, and
in the area. As my clan claims heritage from Nova Scotia, and of course, but it's up in like this part of Nova Scotia. I have no relatives actually. So
I've got 2-3 people I know now that have been evacuated. So
Yeah, Ashley's brother and his family have all been evacuated.
oh, is he they're in that area too?
Yeah,
I have no
they've
family
probably-
there. So.
They've probably lost their house.
Oh man, that's
Sad to hear.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's not where Davin. It's kind of Murphy said it's kind of where he lives or where he's.
no, it's a.
That's still pretty far where he was
It's-
showing.
Yeah, it's just sort of. Anyway, it's just outside of Halifax.
Just outside, north of Halifax. Yeah.
Yeah, north of Halifax. from
North
mine.
of Bedford, even. So, which is part of Halifax.
Yeah.
Anyway, but
Anyway,
back-
hope, prayers, all that stuff.
and Sam has a cousin in Halifax. I have like 15 cousins, Sam, in Halifax.
Dave, not everything is a competition.
I'm
Yeah,
winning against
true.
Sam in the cousin competition.
True.
My mother comes from Dartmouth, so there's.
Oh, well, there you go. I didn't know that, Adam. So
Maybe you guys are related somehow.
maybe.
maybe.
You probably are
Oh,
if you're
boy.
both have family from Nova Scotia.
Well, when I did my family tree,
Yeah, for what
like,
you want, but anyway.
I could trace it back like hundreds of years in Nova Scotia, and then I'm
this
like,
isn't an anthology, series here, buddy.
okay, let's get back. But we were talking
I
about
thought we
Seth
were going to
MacFarlane.
get to how
Star
Dave
Trek.
is royalty.
Yeah, well, we hadn't got to that part yet.
Don't start
You know?
him on that.
Seth
Anyway,
if you do not see Seth MacFarlane though in this episode, Sam, I'm in luck because I have screenshots of this episode that
we
we
will
can
show
run
you
through.
Seth MacFarlane when he.
We will
gets
show
here.
you where Seth MacFarlane shows up, although it's brief.
Anyway, let's get on with this, guys.
Starts off with this speech here as a funeral for the 18 who
Yeah,
died.
which I liked Archer during this. I thought it seemed sincere. It was nice.
I always find it fascinating though that like actually this is interesting to me because you have a crew of 80. Well, now it's probably what
80 minus 18, so
Yeah,
62.
but they don't have a room. Like they have the room where they watch the movies. Which
They have the
is
gym.
the mess hall, and they have the gym, but they don't have a conference center. I mean, I guess the ship isn't big enough, but I just found it
Is
kind
this
of
supposed to be all 80? How many people are here?
well, not 80, not 60.
Well, there'd be about 60 because they lost almost. Realistically, they lost almost a quarter of their.
I'd say there's like maybe 40 people there. So, well, presumably somebody has to fly the ship while they're.
Well, there's still people who are doing things.
And we can't. And okay, I thought it was interesting that some of the officers got to be up on the upper level, but like Hoshi and Travis, no, they're going to be in the bottom level along here with Phlox. They're going to look down as. But it's like it's so Trip and Reed and T'Pol and Trip, yeah, and Archer are up on the top. It's Trip or as Archer
just
gives
wants
us
to make sure everybody knows he's still in charge.
Oh yeah, he's still in charge. They're looking up with reverence.
But,
But I liked his little speech. I thought his speech was good.
his speech was really good, actually. I just
Yeah.
coming back to where they do these conferences. Like if you remember the motion picture too, they were all standing up in a room as well.
Yes, yeah, that's right. That's on Earth before they go up. Yeah,
Enterprise is a tough ship.
it's a tough ship. You better watch out. And he's like, for the 18.
For the 18.
For the 18 who died. You know. So they have the another like the most that people have died.
I don't know what Dave's had today, but I want some of it.
Just enthusiasm for Star Trek Enterprise, Jody.
Oh, was it? Okay.
Yeah, that's all.
I thought maybe it was a glug glug kind of thing.
No, I wish. Anyway, so come after the credits, where after I agree, I love the speech Archer gives at the beginning. It's like I'm like, I need more of this. I needed this in like season 2.
Oh,
or even
before I forget, I want to mention the makeup on Archer is fantastic. I love the bruising on the side of his face.
They
He
made
did a
it
really good job on that.
yeah, he's.
I'm like
they all look
somebody
good.
really did beat the hell out of him.
Jody, I think everybody's like makeup is pretty good. I mean, it really shows again that the ship has been through hell. They're working to get things back in order.
Yeah,
They're
nobody's
tired.
clean. Everybody's dirty.
Yeah, they're tired. They're sweaty.
They don't got time for this. Yeah.
No.
They have substance abuse issues.
Well,
And-
she's in withdrawal at this point.
Right. She's trying to kick the habit. They need to give her some Trillium methadone or something.
But I did notice that at the beginning of this episode, like as Archer's talking and stuff, if you notice he's not very well lit, and then later they light him to really show you how like messed up his face is and stuff. It's like it looked really cool.
yeah,
But-
he's so on edge. Like like it's the performance
You can kind of see
and
a little of it there, yeah.
yeah, the performance and the way he's written, I really enjoy. The fact that he has no time, like Archer is clearly.
But step back for a second, guys. Remember back in season 1
Yes,
compared to this Archer now.
very
Like,
different.
Wow, total transformation, right?
I gotta say though, he does transform in this episode to be the leader again, to give his crew the support they need.
Yes.
I he comes in a little bit shaky, but let's face it, he's being beat up. His ship is a disaster. He's lost 18 crew member, but he
His
does.
planet
come in-
might get blown up.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I like Trip is in the scene before this, he's like challenging him a little bit, right? He's like, we should wait, and we should, or in this scene, yeah,
It's
we
a
should
scene.
wait, and we're in rough shape. And Archer just looks at him and goes, "I've made my decision.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
that's
loved
it.
how he said that too.
I've made my decision."
He's like,
And
"I'm
the
done."
rest of them are just like, yeah, we've heard him say that before, so
Yeah.
we're just gonna move on. Okay, and the big thing that's also set up in this episode, or in this scene in particular, in the beginning of the episode after the credits, is that a crewman died. One of or a few people. They found a few of the bodies that were missing in the decompressed section. I can't remember her name. The one
Except for those 3 that flew out, though.
Taylor. It's a Taylor. It's like specialist Taylor or something. Like
Yeah,
that was the
something
the
like
woman who
that.
died. She was an EPS specialist, and so one of his people. So Archer says, "I want you to write a letter to the family, like something to say,
Yeah, and he's
About
like,
her.
I don't have time for this.
yeah, I'll delegate it to one of my middle management engineers." And he's like, "No, I want you to do it. I told you to do it."
Yeah.
So and Trip doesn't really want to do it, and that's a big part of this episode. Is he's not.
But you also get the feeling, Dave, this is his first time doing this. Like he's never had to do
No.
anything like this.
Right.
They've gone from like explorers to
soldiers.
being attacked now, and now they're full at war.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Pirates. And
Pirates.
pirates. Yeah, remember they stole that guy's engine last episode, the Illyrians, so they are getting their hands dirty, so to speak, through all this.
But
Right.
what they signed on for, I mean, I'm sure if they were going out to battle, they would never have put these guys on the Enterprise. Like,
No, these are not the people that you send out for war.
No, they were never meant to be. It would be like if we sent astronauts to fight our battles. It would
yeah, exactly. But they're doing amazingly well considering.
It's a good thing we have a space force.
Well, we don't, but the
We
Americans
don't,
do.
but
Yeah. So
Sure, for a good amount of money, we can though.
Episode's written by Chris Black and David A. Goodman, directed by Jody LaForge, LeVar Burton.
Yeah,
and
actually,
so,
the next stretch is we get LeVar Burton, we get Roxanne Dawson again, and then we also get
Robert
what's his name?
McNeil.
Yeah, McNeil. Yeah, so
Yeah,
we get McNeil as well in the next coming episodes. So
This next scene in sickbay here is a following up on last episode with T'Pol and her Trillium and Phlox is like, oh well, you're almost clear of like it being in your system, right? But she's still having withdrawal symptoms, and she's not getting back to the way she was before. Like,
she's pulling a data.
Yeah.
I have an emotion chip now.
And he's like, well, you're gonna have to manage this, Like Phlox is very. I like Phlox. This scene with her, and also with later on with Trip, where he orders him to go to bed.
He's the most consistent crew member, on the Enterprise. I mean, even during this crisis, he's still the same guy. Like he still
caring, does exactly what you would expect him to do. Yeah,
right. And
very reliable.
And T'Pol is going to him as much. It feels like she's going to him as much as a friend as she's going to him as a doctor.
Well, and this does develop, yeah, because we see it a lot in the fourth season. Actually, we see a lot of kind of the two of them together. He almost turns into like a father figure for her later on in the series.
Yeah, it works well. Obviously we've talked before that the two aliens on the ship, so all good.
Yeah, they have that connection to begin with.
Yeah, so that was good. I enjoyed that. And then the next scene was this, I don't know, the Enterprise is looking for Degra, I guess, so they're like, well, we're finding some breadcrumbs here, Captain. And then they start going through like the expanse here, and the warp, like it starts.
Stupid anomalies show up again.
Yeah, it starts messing with the engine, and I love
Trip. Hey, this isn't a good time.
This is not a good time for this.
Yeah, this isn't a good time for this. Stop flying through anomalies.
Yeah. And he's just like, stand by, Trip. It's all good. Now
we know we don't see a lot of Mayweather because he spends a lot of his time probably avoiding Trip.
Well, listen, I noticed another Captain Archer habit in this episode. I could not take if I was Mayweather. And
him over his shoulder?
Yes, that's
micromanaging him as the helmsman. Yes.
Oh my God, I would
be if I was Mayweather. Would you like to fly the ship, Captain? Yeah. But yeah, that's
sit in your chair for once, please.
You got a captain's chair. Come on.
He likes to walk. We all know that.
Not just walk around, but he wants to fly the ship. Clearly,
he's hovering right over his shoulder. It's terrible.
So Degra's ship shows up.
Degra's ship comes out of the sphere cloaking field or whatever it is, and we don't even see Degra yet. They're just like it's just like a follow us, so they do, and they fly into the portal. Yeah, and here we get a shot here of Archer over his shoulder. He's like, "You stay with him, Travis," and whatever. He's like, I can't wait for my shift to be over.
Okay.
And then coming out
He's
here.
Like, when did I turn into a glorified Uber driver?
Right. Even Uber drivers get more autonomy. And then it's another sphere, I guess, that they're into.
I love the shot as it's coming out of the conduit though, or whatever it is that it keeps going into, because then you see all the battle damage and stuff. It is brutal. Like
that one there.
It's Swiss cheese, man. Like it's brutal.
Let's see if I can make it bigger there. There you go. The ship's pretty beat up for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, so then Degra shows up and they dock together, I think is what is the next moment here. You can see how bad Enterprise is doing.
Yeah, like even the nacelles are like crumpled up and stuff. It's it's like, oh jeez.
Yeah.
This is like when they're not anywhere near a space dock, they got to fix this. This is just horrific. They're in bad shape.
Really bad, yeah.
Well, now you know why Trip's so pissed off all the time.
It's so bad
that what are they supposed to do?
How are they going to accomplish this? They couldn't even get fucking phase cannons working in a few weeks when their ship was perfect.
Yeah, mint condition. It's so bad that T'Pol has to eat pizza now.
Well, and replicators don't really exist on the big level right now, do they?
No. So some of their food stores might have been either destroyed or whatever, or
well, they were eating MREs later on. you see in the episode they're eating MREs. So.
Yeah, but the 60. So a lot of this episode too is like Archer talking to Degra and the Xindi arboreal dude about like how he's going to convince them, because he told them like, you know, the sphere builders are bad, they're going to destroy our species, and so they're basically just asking for evidence. And we see throughout this episode that the arboreal guy is very skeptical. Like, I don't know if that's
and that's consistent though, because ever since they're the skeptics of the Xindi. Like every single time we've had a discussion with him in it, he's the deceptive. He's the one that's like, no, that's not right. You know,
right? So. But that Xindi arboreal guy, the other guy that he met on the planet like many episods ago, he was
the one that
he was he was a bit skeptical, but like he did win him over a lot easier. It seemed like, you know, with a lot less.
I have to say, I like Degra's character more now. I didn't like Degra when they first brought him in, but he's growing on me a bit.
Good performance.
Listen, I like the idea of, you know, him willing to listen. At least he's not, you know, willing to blow up a planet essentially without some proof. And now he's got mistrust for the, you know, for his own race, or, you know, culture, I guess.
I think I like that Degra is like, you think a guy who invented this thing would want to see it used, but it's really, he's not, you know, he's not the warmonger of the Xindi, you know, even though he's who is the guy who like developed the atomic bomb for the Manhattan Project? Like
Oppenheimer.
So I feel like
destroyer of worlds.
Yeah, I think Degra's meant to be the Oppenheimer here, you know, like
yeah.
So
There's the MREs there.
Yeah, this is the scene here where T'Pol has to eat pizza or get the MRE pizza. She goes over to talk to Trip and what's left here of the mess hall, which has also been beat up. And, you know, well done in terms of, like, they did the stuff in Voyager too, but like it really beating up the ship. But they're doing a good job here. And Trip has to write this letter. He's continuing to try to write this letter to the engineer's parents, the one that passed away, and he's not getting past. I regret to inform you. That's the only thing he's able to write. And he needs, and DePaul like says, you look really tired, you should get some rest. And he's like, I can't rest, I haven't slept in 2 days, but I'm trying to keep the ship together. He's just working overtime would be a polite way of putting it. So, but he doesn't want to slow down. And DePaul recognizing this, I think she'll eventually just report him to Phlox, who will relieve him of duty, but she can see how rough shape he is.
Well, the Phlox conversation is fantastic in this episode.
Yeah. And then is there an alarm that goes off? Something goes off and they spill the coffee and they run away here.
There's an explosion.
There's an explosion on the ship. Yeah.
Seth MacFarlane fucked things up.
Yeah, it's all Seth MacFarlane's fault. You know. This guy got his arm burned here, you know. And this is where Trip's yelling at him. He's like, "What did you do?" You know. We see that. Oh no, maybe it comes a little later here because we see the beginning of the is it a plasma leak? I guess that turns into a big plasma fire, but it's starting to really burst from the seam here. So it's like a bit of a slow burn. So
there was one thing that I thought they were going to use. I'm sort of glad they didn't. But Phlox was complaining that Trip took away the crews that were supposed to fix the sick bay.
Yeah.
And, you know, I thought they were going to come around and they were going to lose this guy because they didn't have working equipment or something. But
no, it didn't end up being that. And so after that, like after the initial explosion that kind of starts the issue that they'll have to fix later, we get Archer giving the proof to Degra and the Xindi arboreal guy with these dead reptilians. Remember those reptilians that came back? And I thought, I'm like, aren't they in the brig?
Yeah.
No, they were in the morgue, guys.
Yeah, they were dead.
They were dead.
These are the same ones from when they traveled back, right?
Yeah.
Or are these different ones?
Yeah, these are the Detroit Xindi, I guess.
These are the Detroit ones.
So one of them is Jeffrey Dean Morgan, I guess.
Well,
dies in everything.
I don't... Well, he didn't die in Walking Dead, so.
Yeah.
He didn't die what?
In Walking Dead. Spoilers. So.
Oh, sorry, I spoiled a show that ended a year ago.
Yeah, it has 11 seasons, but you know,
12.
12. Anyway, but yeah, the arboreal's
Well,
like,
he's in the series too, so I don't think I'm spoiling.
so he shows them the dead Xindi reptilians who they claim they even know, they like are acquaintances of, at least, small world, the Xindi. But the arboreal guy's like, he's still.
I want to know how they can determine who they are. They all look the same.
Well, that's racist.
I don't care. The Xindi reptilians all look the exact same.
It's like they're all wearing rubber masks or something.
It's weird.
Yeah. Anyway, he's like, "You want more proof? I'll show you." So I thought he was going to take him to Daniel's quarters with all.
Yeah,
the
that's what I first
technology.
thought too when I saw this. Yeah,
but no, it's some other room with, I guess some of the
Another
technology.
lock.
Well, that's the machine that was in Detroit.
So they brought this back from Detroit, and then they just locked it up.
Well, not only that though, they've even left it plugged in, so they turn it on eventually.
Yeah, so he turns it on. He pulls out this metal
Which is
tube.
this is the bioweapon machine, right? This is.
I guess. Yeah, it is. Yeah, that's what they say. And then he's like, "Well, this is a Xindi metal tube, if I've ever seen one."
It looks very Xindi to me.
I'm gonna get my people to verify. Just
if that's okay. Oh, and
here's Seth MacFarlane.
There's Seth MacFarlane. Yeah. So he shows up, but this is, I guess, the aftermath of the little explosion where he's like, we played the clip once. Why not twice?
I love that everybody else has messy hair or dirty faces, but Seth MacFarlane's perfect.
Well, that's because he doesn't do anything.
So Seth MacFarlane's been here the entire time, and we've never seen him.
Apparently,
yeah,
we've seen him before.
He's one of the 80 crew members on this ship.
He was in one of the other episodes as well.
Right, but this is where I just like him yelling at Seth MacFarlane.
There's a microfracture in the magnesium jacket. That's why it ruptured.
I ran a pressure test.
Tell it to the man lying in sick bay. Test them again, all of them.
Aye, sir.
Yeah.
Do your damn job, Brian.
He's like, I did what I'm supposed to do. He's like, you suck at this. Get out of here. And he yells at, and this is where Flock shows up to say, hey, maybe you're a little burned out. Maybe you need to go have a nap.
When was the last time you slept? And he's like, when we were attacked. That was 2 days ago. Oh no, he said that with that was with T'Pol.
Nope.
Yeah. Oh, Dave's apparently.
I had to buzz in Benny. Sorry.
Damn that Benny.
Anyways, I like this conversation here where he's like, yeah, guess what, Trip, you're relieved. I'm taking you off duty. And he's like, what? The ship's about to blow up.
No, my favorite is the captain's waiting for you. I am aware of that.
I'm aware.
Yeah, because he gets after he relieves. I mean, says you. They negotiate how much sleep here. He's like, he needs 6, and he's like 4 hours, not as minute.
He's like, I'll do 2, and he's like, no, 4 minimum. Don't show up a minute before.
Yeah.
But this is where you see, the power of the Doctor. I can actually take you off duty.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. But being Phlox, he does it the most pleasant way.
Well, and Phlox also is always trying to work for the greater good. So he knows taking him completely off is a bad idea. So, negotiate with him, get a couple hours sleep into him. And
and they always flirt with the Doctor relieving people, but it's rare that they do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yes.
And he only, he gives them a couple hours here.
Couple hours.
But it doesn't even feel like he's doing it. By the end of it, it's like Trip's decision.
Yeah.
Well, I think Phlox wanted Trip to have that.
Well, Trip's like, Phlox is like, if you collapse of exhaustion, that's not good.
You're no help to anybody.
We do need you, but you're not a machine, so you gotta relax. Very pleasant. You're right in his delivery here, and then he kind of sends Trip on his way. Although he's not happy about it, and then he even turns back here, and Trip's he's like that way, And,
I love how they had that little stare down though. That was good.
Yeah,
that was good.
I love that. Trip will do anything for Archer. He'll how high should I jump? Captain kind of thing. And
with everyone else, he's pretty miserable. Yeah.
Yeah, but Phlox just takes his time. The captain's waiting for you. I know. You can wait.
Yeah, you can wait.
It's not like there's some the Xindi guys waiting for me. Yeah. Anyway, so we see here that the leak in the hull with the plasma gets more intense here. Just when our chief engineer is ordered to bed, this happens. Right?
Why does it go from blue to green though?
I don't think it's caught on fire yet.
It's not on fire. So it seems like when plasma's
so the green is on the fire then.
Plasma, when plasma's on fire, it's green, but I guess when it's not, it's bluish. So it's probably why the nacelles are.
Yeah.
But anyway, so they're giving more information about the sphere builder guy in sick bed. This is what Phlox have been called down by Captain Archer to say, look, we found the sphere builder guy. And they're like, oh yeah, that's just like the woman who told us that Earth was going to destroy us in the future. So we have to destroy you. Oh, that's weird. And obviously kind of explained that they're from the transdimensional realm, that they built the spheres. That's why they call the sphere builders. They're reshaping the expanse so that it will be compatible for their species and not compatible for anybody from this.
I like Degra's reaction though when he finds out that Enterprise actually has an internal picture of one of the spheres. He's just like, he's dumbfounded. He's like, oh wow, you have
How did
that?
you get this?
Yeah,
Right, because they've been studying the spheres for a long time, but Archer just happened to find the one that had a crack in it, and they could get in. So
You get real sense here now. There's a collaborative kind of effort going on between the two. Degra and.
well, I think that's the moment where Degra realizes that this actually can be a very mutual relationship when it comes to information.
I think you've moved on from now they're the enemy now to.
He's like,
All right.
oh wait, we do have a common enemy,
Well,
and I like
they do say here too, like we're impressed that you have such extensive databases and stuff on this warship. And they explain to him, no, this is not a warship of exploration. This isn't a warship, right? Like they're
and then Degra says some line along later on or something, or maybe it was at this conversation where he's like, well, maybe we can
it's the same scene
that again. Yeah.
It comes later. It comes in the command center later on, right? But well, it's interesting too with the Xindi being 5 species, and these are 2 of the 5, and we know that the insectoids and the reptilians are more like pro-kill all humans, and the aquatics, I guess, are the swing vote, or the middle ground between the 2 sides. Whereas, arboreals and primates seem to be a little bit more level-headed, not as aggressive.
Yeah.
And then we have this scene here with Trip finally gets his nap. But what happens when you sleep? You have dreams. And he goes into this dream.
This was a very, very interesting dream. I quite like this sequence.
Yeah, I didn't really realize it was a dream at first. Although when she shows up, it's obviously a dream. Because this is the dead crewman, the one he's trying to write the letter to the family. Her name, Taylor, again. She was, and I thought this was a good scene. I really liked. I think it would have been better had we got to know her maybe on the show. But
it would have been more impactful for the audience. But
I don't think they either. Like you said, like Seth MacFarlane, first time we saw him, maybe the second, but we don't know any of the on Next Generation. We knew some of the back crew. Like we knew Ensign Burke, we knew a couple others.
Even on Voyager, right, which was a ship with twice as many people as Enterprise.
Honestly, we don't even really know the bridge crew on this one.
Well, good point.
It's absolutely true.
Very
like
true.
in Next Gen, there was always, there was a couple regulars that would shift rotation and stuff, and they would sit down at the spots where like Jody.
Remember that engineer that spilled some tea or something on Captain?
Sonia Gomez went on to become a captain.
She ended up becoming a captain.
Mm-hmm. We forgot to include her in our tier rankings. Oops. And then anyway, so but this is a scene where he's like, "Oh, I'm dreaming," and she's like, "Well, why can't you write the letter? Why can't you tell them that you were my friend?" And but he's also dealing with the grief of his sister's death. That's often and the fact that she reminds him of his sister is a big crux of this.
Well, I think the main reason why we have this scene is number one, obviously, to show the mental health of Trip, but more so, I think we're showing her face to make sure we know that it's not her face that we see in the last scene, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's kind of a way to set the audience up to make sure, because at this point, I don't know about you guys, but I don't remember a damn thing about what his sister looked like. So
we just saw her.
It was in the previously on, though. It was
previously on.
Well, it was in the previously on part, I guess, but you don't always have that.
What I will say though is that he's been carrying this anger now for I don't know how long in the
9 months.
Story
9 months, 10 months, since they've been.
Now it's really coming out,
and if you remember, he was really angry when they first got into the Expanse. Like he was gung ho. He's
like, "We're gonna hunt these guys down and shows up. Right?
We're gonna destroy.
Well, I think there's a bit of that's why he's so angry too. Is like because now he might be seeing, well, maybe we're going another path.
Yeah,
he doesn't want peace. So
well, he wants revenge for his.
Wants revenge first, and then peace.
Yeah,
and so he wakes
up. At this point, they're starting to work with these guys. Like it's that's got to be frustrating.
I guess so. Yeah, I would imagine so. Like if because everybody died on Earth, like 7 million people died for nothing.
Yeah.
So
I wonder if that plaque in the background there is going to come up in fun facts because we've seen that damn thing before. I just can't remember where I've seen it.
On a Xindi ship.
No, it's been in another series, but I don't know what it is. But
this is the scene, but comes up next between Degra and the Arboreal, where he's like, Degra's like, "Why wouldn't you believe Archer?" And then the Arboreal's guy like, "His evidence is circumstantial; it's not concrete. Why are you so eager to trust him? And
because Degra feels guilt.
Degra feels guilt.
We already know that. So
yeah, but Degra wants to believe Archer. He doesn't want to be responsible for genocide. I don't know why this Arboreal would, but the Arboreal guy's like, remember the sphere builder lady? She's done a lot of good for us, Xindi. Right? We're not even really told what those things are, other than forming the council. But
they formed the council. That was it.
But it's a very mismatched alliance. I don't know, of these Xindi species who largely don't seem to get along. But anyway.
Well, and you almost get kind of an impression of that they were really bad off until the sphere builders showed up. So that's the reason why they're kind of following them.
Yeah. I guess more. I just want a little bit more of that filled in, but
it would be nice.
Yeah. Because we're starting to get to know these Xindi characters, slowly, right? And so we go over to the command center here with this is with T'Pol and Degra. And
who might be the dirtiest she's ever been in this show.
Yeah, she's got a lot of smudge on her face in this one.
Yeah.
And this is the one we're trying to get the information on the sphere builders and the spheres and they're trying to fix it and this is where Trip starts just really jawing off at Degra about you killed a few more of us or when you were blasting our ship, But they would all be dead if it wasn't for Degra, because Degra and the Arboreal were the ones who got
they caught them called off.
Yeah, got that attack called off. They would easily be dead, if that didn't happen. So they kind of owe Degra here. He's a needed ally, but Trip is going to kind of be very confrontational in this.
Yeah,
scene.
He gives him the biz.
And Degra I think takes it pretty well. I
think Degra also knows what he's done. He's not happy with the outcome. Like he's like, oh crap, I killed 7 million people and there was children in there, and he gets it. He knows what the load is on.
Can he really atone for his crime?
No, he can't atone, but he can.
But he can do what he can to stop it from happening again.
He can stop from killing 9 billion people. But.
Well, actually, I'd imagine the population's even more now, but
yeah,
it'd be even more at that point.
But World War III, Jody, don't forget.
Oh, that's right. Yes, there was people wiped out as well.
Anyway, so then Archer shows up in the middle of Trip going on his little soapbox there. I think Archer's like, "Get out!" or
no, it was T'Pol that was all.
Oh yeah, T'Pol
telling him to shut up.
Yeah, she's like, the captain's trying to get his trust. Don't you get it? Yeah. He's like, whatever, I don't care. And then just at that moment, the flame, the plasma leak finally. I don't even know how they didn't know about this until it caught on fire. That
no sensors, not working. Installed next Tuesday.
The Xindi would detect this.
Well, the Xindi should be able to detect that. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it
That's
ignites.
a good point. Actually, I never thought of that. The Xindi should have actually.
Well, wait a second. They did ask Archer if he wanted help.
He said no.
Yeah.
So
he's serious.
Why in hell? They've got a functioning ship outside.
Yeah.
Outside, they could eat. Anyway, I just was like, why wouldn't you take the help?
Yeah.
And in fact, that would have shown that they're working together even better. I wish they would have done that.
Right.
Yeah, that's a good point.
They don't go there. Yeah, so this thing lights on fire. It's kind of right near, I guess, the impulse engines. And Trip then on the bridge here gives the kind of explanation of what's going on. This is like pretty much the same section that Archer and Malcolm went out to in that Romulan episode. It's like the same size of the hull too. It's like right in front of the impulse manifold.
They already had the set.
I guess it's a set, yeah. So that's why they did it. Yeah. So they like we can only access it from outside. We have to go into spacesuits. And this is where Reed's like, I'll go, even though I'm completely unqualified for this. I'm qualified to die. And
Reed's like, there might be mines out there.
Yeah. If there's a Romulan mine that's gonna stick me in the leg.
I hope he remembered to go to the bathroom before he got his suit on.
Doubtful. So those two head out, so we're kind of cutting away from the CGI back to like the practical and back to the CGI.
I think they did a good job with that though.
Works okay
for a 20-year-old special effect. This is actually pretty good, I thought.
Not bad. When the spacesuits move more like robotically, it's not as jarring as when you see like just people walking without suits, I guess.
Yeah.
And gravity boots and all that. And so there. I was like, is it safe to be near this fire? Doesn't this thing have radiation?
Well, and that's the thing. Like at the beginning, you're like, "Oh, they're just gonna walk up to this thing and put it out." Okay, and then I'm like, "Wait a second, this could be really hot."
19? Hey, Jody,
what's that?
Will Reed become number 19?
Yeah, I'm hoping.
Yeah, for the 19. Yeah, because we know that these like plasma fire. Remember when Jody LaForge and Beverly Crusher got stuck near a plasma fire and they had to put it out because the radiation was going to kill them?
Oh, in the cargo bay.
In Disaster, yeah.
That was in Disaster, yeah.
Yeah, but
I just watched that the other day, actually.
The suits would protect them from the radiation.
Within reason.
It's not just to provide
But
air.
I don't think it's the radiation that's the issue here. I think it's the heat.
But how can the heat transfer through the vacuum of space?
Well, same reason why there's explosions, I guess.
Well,
you're seeing heat transfer right there. The plasma fire is heat transferring.
Right.
So
and anyway, so they split up and they start like taking panels off. The one that Trip asks Reed to do is fuse shut, and they're kind of giving information back.
I have a bit of a problem about the design of these panels, though. It looks like it's two push buttons and then the panel comes off, basically. Well, when you're flying around in a spaceship, you're hitting like debris hitting the hull all the time. Like,
now you polarize the hull.
Well, yeah, I guess, but does that also mean they're protecting all these little buttons?
I don't know, maybe.
There must be thousands of buttons on the.
They just let the panel fly away afterwards. They don't even try to get back.
Well, Reed did because Reed didn't care. Reed's like,
that's what I thought too.
It's not my job to fix this.
I'm like, you're running out of ship. Why are you throwing pieces of ship away?
Yeah, shouldn't you like hold on to that?
Yeah, I think you're gonna need that.
We've got enough problems right now. We have to go find this piece now.
Yeah, it's like buying a reusable coffee cup and like just throwing it out right away. It's like, what did you do here? Like, this is stupid.
Yeah,
anyway.
But like, you see them sweating inside their suits, so they're like the heat is coming through space, hitting into their suit and warming them up at least. To the point that we're told that that inside of Reed's suit, it's like 45 degrees Celsius, which I'm pretty sure will kill you.
Well, prolonged exposure definitely would, yeah.
Yeah, like that's very, very hot.
Well, and that's why Reed passed out, right? Like he ended up passing out at the end of it.
He does, and he has to be taken off to sick bay. So,
but Reed was also closer to the explosion most of the time.
Yes, he was a little closer.
So he was closer. So I guess that kind of makes sense. But...
He has to stay kind of where he is to cut this open. And
but NASA has liquid cooled suits. Like all of their suits are liquid cooled. So you would think this would have some sort of advanced, maybe thermal compounds or something.
Well, they said
like
his suit couldn't keep up. The suit couldn't keep up with this kind of plasma.
Okay,
fire.
Well, that makes sense then.
So they're opening. When he finally gets the panel off, and he just lets it float away. Yeah, you're gonna need that later. But whatever.
I did like the look of the nacelle though. The way that they did the nacelle and with the CG, it's even animated. Like it actually is moving, like spinning around, kind of like in the original series.
Yeah, with the
So
Rams.
The original series. That's why I saw that too.
Yeah, I love that. That looked good.
I really do like Reed. Like everything about Reed, I still don't like him. He's my least favorite character.
Nah, Reed's an ass.
He's the martyr that has to, like, I'll do the most dangerous job there is,
Right.
Captain.
Which is funny because in real life, like I watch their Shuttle Pod, the podcast that they do, and he's actually quite funny.
I'm
But
sure he is.
in this show, he was
his
so
character.
written so badly. Yeah. I just
His
didn't like the
character's
character.
he's too self-sacrificing to an annoying level. You know, they're like, how about you take a break from the fire and cool down? He's like, no, I have to do this. You know, so.
And Malcolm, Trevor, I'll come over, step away. I'll come over and finish the job.
How about we trade places? No, I'm the one to do this. He's like, he got something to prove. Always got something to prove.
Yeah.
To the point where he's like almost passing out here, and then they get it. They get and the fire goes out, and all is well. But now I think Reed is passed out. He's unconscious at this point.
Yeah.
And so I guess Trip had to just drag him back in zero
Why
gravity.
bother? Just leave him out there.
Or just transport him in.
Well, you can
But
do
they're
that
like,
too, I
they
guess.
have to get
transporters are probably down.
Bro, I
More
guess,
work for the doctor.
So Phlox meets him in the airlock, and we see all
He's
the
like,
the
we got to get him cooled down.
get him cooled down, and then Trip's like, I bet you like this, Degra, and he starts going off at Degra again.
Yeah, he's just shooting the shit with Degger again.
And then Archer gets all like.
Then Archer finally tells him off.
I gotta ask you guys, what do you think of this Trip? Like, spouting off in front of Degra all the time.
Well, it's out of character, but I also think that's the fatigue and the situation that's not helping either, right? So, but
he's found the person responsible for his sister's death. Of course, he's going to be angry.
Yeah,
right. Well, Archer's having none of it. So,
yeah, pull yourself together, Trip.
Pull yourself together.
I'm surprised he didn't slap him. Like,
I think here though, Degra turns to Archer and tells him it's okay.
Well, and that's the thing I like about Degra's character. Like when we first saw Degra, we're like, oh, he's just another lackey, whatever. And then it's like they've really grown his character. I actually think his character is very unique. I like it.
Yeah, no, I find it interesting. Like this is working, but
Degra in 3 episodes is way more interesting than Reed in the entire series.
That's not hard.
Adam's like, yeah, true.
So this is the scene we were talking about earlier with Degra and Archer in the command center, where they're talking about the spheres, and he's kind of apologizing for Trip, and he's and the fact
59 spheres, actually 78. I think.
Yeah, there's actually 78. Yeah, that's what we've counted anyway.
Right. Oh, okay. So they're sharing information.
It's a mutual information exchange.
They're learning to trust each other,
which I think is cool. Yeah.
Right.
I like how they did it this way. Yeah.
Even though they did spend all that time in that fake simulation together,
which Degra did call out, by the way.
Yeah. He's like, oh yeah, I guess erasing your memory wasn't the best way to build trust, but it was war, espionage, and all that. Yeah, and the
might have been the best way to build trust. You just needed to erase more of it.
yeah. Just erase meeting the sphere builders in the first place. We go back that far.
Well, and this is the first time Degra has actually seen what's inside, right? And
right.
Degra is like, wow,
this is pretty cool.
Wait a second, you guys can do this shit.
So this is the scene where he says that. Then I think.
Yeah.
So you're referring to the scene, we were explorers once. Well, hopefully you'll be that again.
Yeah. Hopefully this ship can be an exploratory vessel again. Yeah.
And then that's a good shot right there, Dave, because I think you see go back. Like Archer actually really sad that they've come this far, and
yeah, he actually has kind of a sad face going on there. I didn't ever notice that.
He's like, it's impressive. Yeah, he's like, yeah, we used to be explorers, and that was the speech he gave when he thought he was going to die, like a few episodes ago. He's like, when this is over, I want you guys to get back to being explorers. So yeah, that's definitely on their mind.
But they really,
I hate the fact that I'm liking Archer right now.
They were only explorers for a couple weeks.
Well, a couple years more, like 2 seasons.
No, I don't know if that's true.
But that 2 seasons only stretches, I think, 6 months or something.
Yeah,
because they went back after a year.
After them, you had like a lot of.
They picked up the Makos and then they went to the Expanse.
Well, I can tell you more precisely. So yeah, April 2151 is when it starts. We are now up to 2154, so we're 3 years later.
Oh, okay.
So,
And they've been in the Expanse now for 10 months, so they were out for 2 years. Yeah.
But they were like going to war with, not war, but they were antagonizing the Vulcans all the time.
They were getting into it with the Vulcans and the Andorians before that, and they met the Romulans once, and the Klingons don't like them very much.
I have good news for you for season 4.
Yeah.
They're antagonizing a lot of species in season 4.
Guys, we have to remember, Trip once caught a big fish.
It's true.
Let's not forget
big
about
fish
that.
once.
Is this the final scene or near the final where he's writing the letter to?
Yeah, he's
trying again. He's trying again.
Trying to write the letter to the woman's family, and he keeps starting. He deletes it and throws it away.
He's trying to be like very military, and dear Mr. and Mrs. whoever, I regret to inform you, rather than, and then when he actually gets to the whole composing, when he puts his heart into it, it changes the way it's delivered and how. I think that was a great scene too, because I think,
I think how they ended this episode is probably one of the better endings in Star Trek. I think they did a really good job with it. I thought it portrayed the right amount of emotion. So I liked it.
Yeah. Back to the, I guess, Archer and the Xindi on the bridge, because the Xindi reptilians show up, and now Reed does that. He goes reptilians, but I guess for us watching every week, we're kind of like, yeah, we know that's a Xindi reptilian.
We know who that is,
but
stupid Reed.
Yeah, he's like, I was very hot a little while ago, and then I had some electrolytes, and I'm fine now.
That's a good point. He was like completely dehydrated.
You think he wouldn't be in this scene, but he is.
Why are you there? That's a good point. I never thought of that. Because this is only a couple minutes after. Like, this is not like, this is maybe like a half an hour after.
Phlox is a good fucking
dehydrated. Phlox gives him he's back in business. He's back.
I gave him the IV.
Gave him a hypo spray, a Gatorade, tell him to move on.
Phlox sent him to bed for 3 minutes. He was good.
Yeah, he's like 4 minutes.
We're down 18 people.
Yeah, they're down.
No time for this. No time for sleeping. Just get to work.
You got Seth MacFarlane on set. Use him.
He's kind of useless, I hear.
Yeah. Anyway, Degra's like, we can't, because they're like, hey, can you help us fight the Xindi reptilian ship? And Degra's like, we can't do that. They are our fellow Xindi.
Fire on our own people. Yeah.
And Enterprise, like Archer and them, they just want to disable them, right? And like later on, Degra's like, no, we're just gonna kill them.
That scene, though, when Degra says that, but when Degra says that, I was actually seeing like Archer sort of understanding. No, I guess you can't. You can't.
Right.
We're asking you to do a lot here,
Yeah. Well, so they
go. Just as Archer, it looks like Archer's going to back down. Degra kind of agrees, and he tells him. And
right. And back here, we have this other Xindi reptilian talking to the Xindi arboreal dude. Get Degra off that ship, and we're taking these humans back, and you guys are in big trouble with the Xindi Council. You are been some bad Xindi. And they're like, get ready to get out of here. And so a Boreal guy calls up Degra, kind of gives him the news, tells him, you got to get out of there. I think this is maybe where they're like, you need to help us attack. And this is where he doesn't really want to, but they had to convince him. And he's like, well, I guess I could, but so he goes back to the ship. They undock, and then they call up Reptilian dude, who's like, yeah, well, we're going to be taking you home now, and don't you be messing around anymore. Xindi reptilian man out. And they're like, okay, well, looks like it's on, and they attack, and the fight starts. So even though this Xindi, like the Degra ship is very, very small, like I guess it's a match there for this bigger reptilian ship.
Well, he said he designed the power systems. Yeah. He designed the power systems.
Because Degra also helped design the ship, so he knows where the vulnerabilities are. Because this wouldn't be a fair fight normally, but because of the tactical advantages they can. We see our Enterprise is still able to fire a couple torpedoes, which they do, and then they start taking some more shots until eventually the reptilian ship is disabled. Here's more Archer over Mayweather's shoulder.
He's like, so I need you to go straight.
Can you fly the ship, please? And then, they're going back and forth. Lots of weapons fire until finally, we see here that the Degra destroys them outright. Boom. And then T'Pol's like,
That was a bit of a surprise, that scene, like that he went that far.
Yeah.
Like, but it kind of makes sense in the grand scale, though, because if it gets back to the council, then,
what's their next move? Aren't they planning to go to the council?
I don't know.
I was a little unclear.
Yes, they're going to the
So
I think they mentioned it.
He says the council is 12 days away or whatever, but they have a way to get there in 3.
Right. Okay.
Oh yes, that's right. Yep.
And the Xindi wanted to just tow the Enterprise back or whatever and take over, basically.
Yeah.
Anyway. So they're like, well, we had to blow them up. They would have told the reptilians, and we would have had much bigger problems.
This scene is awesome. When he asks him why, and Degra says, I had to. You see it on Archer's face that he knows. It goes back to last episode,
the trust is happening, yeah.
No, but it went back to last episode. Archer is I know what it's like to have to do what I don't want to do.
Right, like when Archer destroyed that base on the moon, or when he stole the warp coil, or these other things. He's losing touch with his morality.
Yeah.
So
he's not liking himself too much lately.
Yeah.
No. And what they have to do.
Think what he's done, but also he's now lost 18 crew members. He's not in a good place, but I still think he's keeping it together. He's still got
as best he can. Yeah, he's still fit for duty, I'd say.
Still captain,
yeah. But it's easy to understand how a captain can easily go off the rails. So
I think he's more fit for duty now than he was when he left.
That's why they all end up becoming Badmirals.
Yeah, Badmirals. Yeah. So yeah, he kind of so there's kind of at the end here, with Degra, it's okay, now they're Degra's picked a side. He's fired on the Xindi here, and he's actively working. He's defected effectively now, right? So
and the Arboreal too, right?
And the Arboreal guy too. He's complicit. Yeah. So they're working together. There's a partnership here, I think, through this fight that's forged. And then the final scene here, I think, is it the second last scene here with T'Pol and Trip while he's fixing stuff, and she brings these power converters from the Xindi, and he doesn't want them.
Yeah, and he loses his shit on her.
He's like, I don't want these stupid Xindi power converters. You can take them, and he kicks them across the room, and
which seems like a bad idea for a power converter.
Yeah, he's not having. He doesn't want their Xindi trash. And and then he just she's like, what's up? And he starts crying, he starts breaking down, telling how he envies the Vulcans so they can suppress their emotions. She's like, oh, you don't even know, I can't even suppress them anymore, I'm on Trillium D. But he doesn't know, and so she kind of comforts him.
Do you think they went back to his room or something after this, and then maybe watch beaches or something?
No, I don't think so.
Ate some Haagen-Dazs.
Movie night. Yeah, so I don't know. I liked this. I liked his performance. I thought Connor Trinneer very good here. And deserves some credit. And
the more I watch this series with you guys, the more I realize that the players that are in this show, there's a lot of good acting in the show.
Yeah,
there is
more than I thought there was. Yeah,
the guy, he did a great job of showing the breaking point. He's exhausted. He's lost.
Done. He's gassed. He's just done. Yeah.
They all are to varying degrees, but I think Trip and Archer.
Well, it's more pressure on those two though, because those two really are the keys to the ship, right? Your main engineer, has a ship that's literally Swiss cheese, and you have a captain who's got a really bunch of difficult decisions he's got to make, including stealing from people and various other things.
I feel like that's kind of why they wrote this Trillium D thing here for T'Pol, because I feel like she
needed something.
She needed something to be bugged, because otherwise I don't think it would work. But the rest of the crew is clearly in trauma, and she's just I'm a stoic Vulcan. Why don't you guys meditate more or whatever?
Good decision on their part.
But she hasn't really been in these last few episodes. She's been sort of a real C player, even behind the scenes.
Not last episode.
Well, last episode she was really in it.
Right, you're right.
Episode before, I can see what you're talking about.
Yeah. And then Degra and Archer talking about where they're going to meet up in 3 days, and a little bit of the aftermath, their plan moving forward. I don't remember if anything else of substance came up here.
Not really. Nothing. Not really. Basically, just saying the exact same thing
Slowing to a stop, like most of them.
Yeah.
Yeah. And then they have a handshake here. And, woo, they're working together. See you in 3 days. 3 days. 3 days. 3 days. Okay. See ya. Then they leave. And then finally, Trip's able to finish the letter, which he writes, and it's more honest, and it's less procedural, what he should have done from the beginning, which he dictates. And I thought it was good, very good scene. Again, Conchinier deserves a lot of credit for this episode. I think it's one of his best.
Clear head after some sleep.
Yeah, have some clear head. And then he puts down the pad because he's talking to this picture. So he's kind of talking about his sister while he's talking about her, the engineer who died. And there's kind of like it's also him working through his grief and loss and dealing with all of it,
But I think that's why we got so much head time with the person that he's talking about, because when we see this picture, we're like, oh, he's talking about his sister, actually.
Right.
So it's
kind of
nice. You know what else, though, guys? I think that, when you hear the number 7 million people got killed and you go, that's really terrible, or any tragedy that you hear about. But until you personalize it with somebody that may have been in the event, you can see how that becomes such more importance
100%.
to you anyway.
Yep. Well, you just think about like 9/11, how many people were affected by that, and then times it by 1 million or 100,000, I suppose. So it's
but again, for people who don't know anybody in the event, it's a tragedy. It's not great. But when you know of something, like it's even today, I know 3 people that were evacuated. It makes it more personal, and where people are involved that and in this case, he's got no relationship with the other 6,999,999, but it's his sister.
But that one is the reason why he's running around.
Yeah.
How about some fun facts?
Before you go, I move on to that. I just wanted to read that quote because I think it's pretty cool. The scans are remarkably detailed for a military vessel. And then Archer comes back. Enterprise was designed to be a ship of exploration. And then this is cool. Dagger goes, if we're successful, it will be again. And that was, 3/4 of the way in the episode. So
Very
at this
cool.
point, I think there's a realization that they are now working together. We got to solve the problem.
Yeah, undo the damage that's already, and prevent any more suffering. So like they're pals now. And maybe was it too easy for Archer? Maybe, but it's okay.
All right. So Jody, you got anything? You want to start? We're good.
This is you, buddy.
All right.
Sorry.
Fun facts with Adam.
Thank you. All right. So the writing of this episode was a collaborative effort between co-writer David Goodman, and he said about this outing, I know that I'm not given the credit for writing one of the best episodes of Star Trek. It was a real collaboration with Chris Black. We split the script up and we helped each other. Writing the script with him elevated the episode for me, and this was a true one-on-one collaboration of a very gifted writer who was also very confident in understanding the rules were for writing Star Trek Enterprise. And I think we all agree we're going to score this one pretty high. The photograph of Tucker's sister was a photo of the actress portraying her standing on a terrace on the Paramount Pictures lot. I don't know if you want to bring that up again, but you can't see too much of it. It doesn't matter, Dave. Okay, at the beginning, Archer holds a memorial speech for the 18 lost comrades. But in the previous battle, only 17 are lost, 14 counted dead and 3 unaccounted for. Though one more could have died from injuries sustained. The 18th could also refer to crewman Fuller, who was killed in the episode Anomaly.
For the 18.
The 18. Archer addresses address to the crew is reminiscent of Kirk's address to the crew in Motion Picture. Interesting. I just read that. And the attack on the reptilian ship is referenced in the Council when Dahlem confronts Degra.
I was just thinking too, like that. Sorry, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Well,
All
just
right,
like how
so
you were saying about. Sorry, you were saying just how like there's more this connection when you know like the victims or the people killed or whatever like that, and I just like I couldn't help but think about these 18 anonymous crewmen who were not really shown to us, and now they're just names, right? Like, but they could have killing off these 18 or even showing us maybe more of them. We get a little bit of this episode in her ghost in the dream, but I think you could even take it further. Kill off Seth MacFarlane. Let's do it. We saw he wasn't very good.
What an
I don't think
honor
they
it
were
would have been
doing-
for him to be killed in a Star Trek episode.
It would have been a great honor as a red shirt.
Yeah. I think for me, Walking Dead was the first show that really started killing main members off like right away.
Yeah. It's almost like a game with them.
Walking Dead and Game of Thrones, I think.
Game of
Game of
Thrones.
Thrones.
Yeah.
But Walking Dead was first.
Yeah.
So, all right. Seth MacFarlane had a brief cameo as engineer technician in this episode. MacFarlane was an avid fan of Star Wars and Star Trek and had several ties to Star Trek Next Generation, his favorite Star Trek franchise. He is a distant cousin of Denise Crosby. His series American Dad regularly features the voice of Patrick Stewart.
Yes.
And many other Next Generation characters have been featured in his animated series Family Guy.
He's related to the Crosby family? Interesting.
Distant. I think
distant. Yeah, that
would be interesting to see how distant. The episode was directed by another Next Generation alumni, LeVar Burton. And then we all know MacFarlane went on to create the series, paying homage to Star Trek: The Orville.
Great show.
Great show.
Don't let anyone tell you otherwise.
I'm totally with you. I liked it better than Star Wars in some cases. Yeah. So
it's very good.
I definitely like it better than Star Wars.
Yeah.
Well, comparing it to some of the modern Star Wars series is not very fair.
Okay. This episode was the 700th ever released in the history of the franchise, including all the movies.
For the 700.
For the 700. And it takes place in 2154. And that's it for today.
All right. Well, thank you. Let's get into our ratings.
So I quickly looked it up. I was wrong. This is the first episode that MacFarlane shows up in. He shows up in one more episode in the 4th season, which happens to be the episode with the Orion women. So,
but was he in a movie as well?
It might have been. I don't know. Anyway,
The Forgotten. Jody, what's your rating?
You know what? I'm gonna stay consistent. 9.
9. Adam?
I really like this one. I think the only thing that annoyed me was Reed, and I can push that aside. So 9.5.
9.5. I'm with you. I'm going 9.6. Kevin?
You guys are just too harsh. It's another 10. Yeah, all this emotional, all these great performances. Fuck you guys. The ship is all damaged. You guys love that shit.
Yeah, I do. I think the only thing this is missing for me is like when Daniel showed up in like a Zodi Prime or something like that's really moving the story along, or some big revelation or something. I think like that's the only thing that's
didn't need it.
Yeah, I don't need it, but I think to make it more epic, I would.
I jump on Jammer's reviews. I'm not known if you guys are familiar with that or not. Jammer basically reviews every single episode of Star Trek ever. But there's in his comment section, there's one guy by the name of Chris, and he says this trilogy ending with this episode is among the best 2 hours of Star Trek in any of its incarnations. Story, pacing, direction, and acting were all superb. Trip breaking down into Paul comforting him affected me so much. It affected me more than any other moment in Star Trek. So that was
I don't disagree. Like it's one of the better emotional vulnerabilities, and I think it's you don't see like we have some great actors in Star Trek, but this was pretty good.
Finally, the Xindi arc arrives. Near the end of the
20 episodes later. We had to go to Cowboy World first, though, and trade harmonicas for horses and whatever else. But
well, it's actually funny that you should mention that, because the next line in his review is a vindication for the decision to devote pretty much a whole season to the Xindi arc.
But they didn't. The Xindi arc is like 10 episodes.
Yeah, like the Xindi arc realistically is all this season, but there's so little mention of it in some of the episodes that like it barely reflects it at all. Like other than
we're on our way to a Xindi
there.
thing.
Yeah,
we're on their way
there, but we're going to cowboy country first.
We got a cowboy planet, or we got to mess around with these religious zealot people, or whatever.
Exactly.
So, okay, and Sam's giving this a 9. Thank you, Sam. You watched Babylon 5. Good for you. You can be a babbler with us.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, whenever Dave does his show, maybe he'll have you on for that.
Sam's asking, have you ever seen The Seventh Rule? I have seen The Seventh Rule. That's the Sarah Lofton, Jake Sisko.
Go.
Yeah. his podcast that he originally started with Aaron Eisenberg before he passed away. And Denise Crosby was recently on it. I watched one with her. It was pretty good.
Yeah. I haven't seen it. I saw when he was on the shuttle pod, but I haven't seen it past that. Anyway, next episode, guys.
Yes.
E squared.
E squared.
Which is actually a pretty neat episode. I kind of like it. This is an accident during the attempt to use a Xindi subspace corridor places the Enterprise in a bizarre confrontation with itself, which is kind of cool.
Cool.
Yeah.
What happens?
So basically, well, without spoiling it, you'll get to watch it next week anyway. But basically, they go through the subspace corridor thing, but it screws up, and then when they get out, another ship starts approaching them, and they think it's actually the sister ship, but it's not. It's actually Enterprise.
Oh, I know this episode.
Yes. Yeah.
I have a problem with this episode. I'll tell you next week. But,
well, you can tell us next week.
Yeah, I have a problem going into it. Just let you know. Just full disclosure.
Okay.
Mostly because I feel like it's a ripoff of another Star Trek episode.
Well, yeah,
They all are.
they all are. Yeah.
There you go. I was waiting for Kevin.
That's true, though.
Yeah.
Some of the best TNG episodes were reconceptual versions of original series episodes. So
Oh, they only had one thing to work with then.
yeah,
I'm
now
still
they got
paying
like
attention.
a vast amount.
At least
that
there was
they-
30 years between Next Gen and original series.
Oh,
this was
settle
like
down.
4 years after. Anyway, okay. So
You settle down.
I'm settled.
Settle down, Dave. You're getting
I'm
all
set-
nuts.
I'm settled. I'll get off my soapbox. All right.
Speaking of soapboxes, we got a lot of cool things on this channel.
We sure do.
That was a
Let-
terrible segue, but anyway.
We got soapboxes. Live long and podcast.
If you want to hear Dave bitch about other things, we have so many
we
other
got
channels.
stuff.
for
We
you.
have so
Mostly
much in
uniforms.
our catalog. The uniforms.
Mostly
Yeah,
uniforms.
Mostly uniforms. Guys, I have to talk about the Star Trek Strange New Worlds uniforms. We saw the dress
Oh.
uniforms for season 2.
Okay. I know how everybody's excited about this. I think this is such a stupid fucking idea. Having these two in real action, real life.
Oh, you know what?
and-
The crossover
and
coming
Strange
up.
New Worlds. I think that's
Star
the
Trek
show.
Strange New Worlds starting June 15th, and we're going to be covering it here on the channel, the new episodes that come out. We know that there's a crossover with the cartoon Star Trek Lower Decks, Boimler and Mariner
Absolutely
coming
not
over.
needed.
It's cool. It's
Why
you
do
know,
we need to do a crossover with one of the best Star Trek episodes, like series that have come over in the last 10 years? Like,
what, Lower Decks?
no, Strange New Worlds. Like,
I see.
why are you fucking with that formula? Just leave it alone. Do what
No,
you
well,
were doing.
They're also different time periods, so this is time travel plus coming out of a
Yes,
cartoon
I
and
just
stuff.
don't need
but,
it.
you know, whatever.
But
Well,
anyway.
it might surprise you. Who knows? But anyway, yeah, we got
Wrestler
Jack
trailer
Quaid.
looked great.
Jack Quaid and Tawny Newsome are coming to play their cartoon counterparts in live action, and this new season coming up. We just finished up Star Trek Picard a couple months ago. We covered every episode of that. You can go and check those out. We
Was it
have
a month ago at this point?
I guess. And then Deep Space Nine. We just finished season 6. We're gonna be on hiatus for a little bit till we pick up season 7, but we're mostly done. You know, we got 26 episodes left of that show, but
I don't hate Lower Decks. I just don't think you need to screw with something that's working fine. There's no reason to do a crossover.
it might make it even better. Might screw it in a good way.
It's going to make it worse. I'll tell you right now.
Might screw it in a good way.
There's gonna be good screws and bad screws. You know,
No,
It's-
that's true. I wouldn't disagree with him on that one.
That's what I'll ask you when we cover that episode. Jody, did this screw with this in a good way or a bad way?
How did this screw you? Good or bad?
Yeah.
If this is just one of those things where like it just happens and it's like a quick little thing and it's over, I'm good. If they do an entire episode with those two on the ship and a whole slew of things going on, such a waste of time.
Well,
like,
we'll see.
Such a
We
good
covered it all
series
here
already. You don't need to screw with it.
So check that out.
And
We're
Lower
also-
Decks is good too. Just you don't need to mix them.
They already made it, Jody. It's gonna happen.
I know, it sucks.
It's
I was
Anyway.
angry. I'm gonna tell you right now. I was angry.
you could be.
I was like Dave on a soap opera.
You're
Oh,
right.
shut up, Davin. I don't need your damn stuff in here. I knew
See, you're
Davin would
sexy.
show up.
He's giving us compliments.
Oh, okay. I thought he was bitching about my comment there.
You might be. You might be working on that next.
He's
Okay.
working on it.
We're part of United Federation of Podcasts. Live Long and Podcast is a network of great podcasts with all kinds of great podcasters like Davin, like Andre, like Murphy, like ourselves. They got all kinds of shows like X-Rated every Tuesday, X-Men the Animated Series with Davin.
Hey, he's got a voice actor.
He's got the voice of Cable coming on tomorrow.
Yeah, that's cool.
The Graphic Histories podcast with Andre, where he interviews all kinds of people from film, entertainment, comic books. He's trying to get Jaemeel on the show, but Jaemeel's hard to pin down.
We can barely get Jaemeel to show up for the stuff that we already have planned with him.
Yeah, the Hellbound podcast on Wednesdays. Michael Chan, Alex Blackburn, horror themed. Super Mater Brothers podcasting to talk about. We just finished up Survivor 44, Big Brother Canada 11, and Big Brother USA 25. Doesn't start till August. Isn't that great? The Mary Meter Marvel Society, where we cover the MCU stuff. Most recently, the Guardians of the Galaxy. And we got Hold Up, a movie podcast with Davin and Murphy every second Wednesday. Eamon on Track, a music podcast where he talks about albums with a guest.
I'm telling you right now, I didn't think Eamon's show was going to be all that interesting, but the more I watch it, the more I'm like, wow,
I'm
cool.
a fan. I'm also
I think he's doing a good job.
Yeah, he's trying to get Jaemeel on there.
No, good luck.
One to pin down.
You should get Kevin though.
Yeah, Kevin.
I don't have a lot of thoughts on music.
I know. That's why I thought it'd be funny.
It'd be good.
I've known you for how many years, Kevin? I don't think we've ever really talked about music.
No.
We did a little bit on Trivial Debates and stuff. Anyway,
true.
But thanks for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Great podcast, everyone. Thanks to Adam. Thanks to Kevin. Thanks to Jody. Thanks to Sam in the comments and Davin. And Jody's a Karen now, apparently.
Well, if it isn't you, Dave, it's me.
Yeah, well, somebody's got to be it. And on that note, we'll go out on the thing the speech I pulled from the beginning of the episode. We'll see you next time. Live long and podcast.
We came into the expanse not knowing what we'd find. With no one to rely on but ourselves, we're going to succeed. To accomplish our mission. For everyone on Earth who's relying on us. For the 18th.